Morning, everyone. This is Adrian Farthing here from Format. Hope you can all hear me. As with the technical details of webinars, just want to make sure that you can hear me. So if you could just have one or two of you could quickly use the question box on the right-hand side. Just put in there yes or no, can you hear me? And as soon as you do, we'll get started. Great, fantastic. Well, that's great. Thank you, Tina. It's great that you can hear us. And thank you, Joe. Lovely to have you on, Joe. Yeah, just quick introductions. For those who don't know me, my name's Adrian Farthing. I work within the business development team at Format. I've worked within the industry for many years, previously at Bullhorn & Bond. Really excited today to be talking to you about Google for Jobs and what are the implications for recruitment agencies, and also I'm going to introduce you to Warren. So Warren.
Morning, everybody. Hi, my name is Warren Davidson. I head up digital marketing at Format. So I'll be taking the second half of the webinar, and I'll do a bit more of an introduction of myself then.
Great, thanks, Warren. So quick agenda for today. So we're going to really take it in two parts. The first part will be myself talking through a brief overview of the candidate experience on Google for Jobs. I'll be also explaining some of the implications for recruitment agencies and some of the considerations you should be making for your advertising strategy as well. The second part will be Warren discussing more of the technical intricacies of how you can firstly prepare and optimize your websites for Google for Jobs. How to write killer job adverts so your jobs are really properly indexed by Google. We know that's a critical aspect of ensuring your jobs are advertised and found by Google. And lastly, Warren also answer whether or not Google for Jobs is a new branch for SEO. So we like to keep these things interactive. So we're going to have a quick poll at the start of the webinar, and we're going to have 3 questions at the start. We also have 3 questions at the end as well, just to gather some of your thoughts around your advertising strategy as it is now and how perhaps Google for Jobs is going to affect that. So a quick question. So if you could use the boxes in front. So we're going to launch a question to you now. So how many of you advertise on Indeed? Excellent, thank you. So we're seeing 64% of you advertise on Indeed and 36% of you don't currently advertise on Indeed. Great. Next question. How many job boards do you use? The question's coming up now. Great, excellent. So we're seeing 18% of you use 2 job boards, another 18% use 4, and 64% of you are using 5 or more job boards. Fantastic, thanks very much. And then how many of you currently invest in some form of SEO every month? Okay, so that's around 3/4 of you, 75% of you do, and 25% of you don't. That's great. That's really useful facts for us to take on board and consider. So thank you very much for participating, and we'll definitely use that in some of our articles and marketing information. So let's move on. So you may or may not know that Google for Jobs launched in the USA in June 2017. So if you've got any international offices in the US, certainly your candidates may or may not be using Google for Jobs. It's more like they are, and so you need to consider that for your business moving forward as soon as possible. So next slide. So Google for Jobs is coming in the UK. We're not sure when. There are some rumours around that it's going to be before the end of the year, but that hasn't materialised. But put simply, Google for Jobs is a search tool that's designed to make the whole job hunting experience far more easier for the candidate. So when job searching terms are recognised by Google, a jobs widget will automatically appear above the organic search results, and it's designed so the candidate can then easily refine search terms pertaining to their skills, experience, and preferences. So how does it work? Well, Google have been talking about their Google Cloud Jobs API, which is set to use machine learning to understand how job titles and skills relate to one another, and what job content, location, and seniority are the closest match to job seekers' preferences. Their aim is to ultimately create a streamlined job search engine that sorts and collects job listings from all over the web whilst monitoring common search terms and click-through rates. And by doing so, Google will continue to learn what's the most relevant job match for the job seeker and continually improve that candidate experience. So today, if you're searching your candidate and your job seeker, you're searching for a job, you'll recognize this. So Google will already know and start to predict search terms that may be of interest to you. So, and the experience will change whether you're logged into Google or not. And so therefore, Google will always look to personalize the job searching experience for you. And this is something we've learned and has been a feature of the websites we develop for our customers. So here is a recent example of IDEX. And you can see here, we've got this really nice search toolbar. So we're looking for an underwriter search terms as a candidate, and we just start to predict what the candidate's looking for. And we actually start to learn in the same way Google does. So the more and more people who search on the site, we actually learn the search terms, but we also then start to personalize that experience far more by showing current live vacancies. So we can see here below the search term, you can see commercial underwriter, assistant underwriter, international underwriter, but we're also thinking about the mobile experience as well. We're actually returning blogs. So if you're a passive candidate and you're interested more in content, we're serving that information straight away. So therefore, personalizing, contextualizing that experience all the time and learning what the candidate job seeker needs. So how does Google for Jobs really improve on this further? Well, firstly, Google will provide you with its own set of aggregated results. So this is important so the job seeker can go to one place rather than scrolling through the same advert multiple times. The widget will still appear below Google's paid advertising. However, we'd expect to see some sort of paid advertising in the future. But as you all know, EU antitrust regulators hit Google with a 2.4 billion euro fine earlier in the year for favouring its own shopping service. So any new recruitment advertising they roll out through Google for Jobs will need to be considered and rolled out carefully. So Google for Jobs is coming. We don't know when, but the experience will show you. We'll log in and we'll show you some of the experience as part of this webinar, so you can get a feel for what it's like. But ultimately, from within the widget, you can start to click through. So you can see the job advert on the right-hand side in this image we've provided for you. So that's the experience from Google for Jobs. But there's a button on the right. You can see here that this job advert is actually originated from Glassdoor, and you can click through that and see the job on the advertiser's site. So if that's your website, there'll be a button to come through to your own site. But what's interesting is Google now has a feature we can actually sign up for job alerts. And we know from our websites that job alerts are a great way to re-engage those candidates that hit your website, and it's a really high converting part. So ensuring that your jobs are found by Google, found by job seekers, so they can have this job alert features is going to be really critical for your conversions. So from in the widget for Google for Jobs, it will predict common search terms associated with the job search. So if the candidate the candidate ultimately will have a greater control over the search results that come to them. You can see in the top part of the section of Google for Jobs, you've got category, title, city, date posted of the job, type, company type, and employer. So a couple of key things there. Having the employer advertised is going to be a key feature for Google. So Google's always going to try and find the originating source of the data. So we feel it may well favor corporates that have where the original job advert may come from. So your clients certainly may have their job adverts found by Google for Jobs. So it's something to consider moving forward. What we do know is job aggregators like Indeed have decided not to participate in Google for Jobs, which is quite a big thing if you think about it. You know, if you're currently advertising on Indeed, you need to think about how that might affect your strategy moving forward. So that's Indeed's decision, but we do know that Google for Jobs have partnered with job boards and LinkedIn. So you know that Google Jobs is certainly understanding and learning more about the job seekers' preferences from companies like job boards, etc. So if you advertise currently on those job boards, then absolutely your jobs will still be found. So some other great features of Google for Jobs. So we mentioned job alerts, but Google for Jobs will also include employee reviews and commute times. However, there's still a question over Google for Jobs will really improve the candidate experience, because we're playing with it. Certainly, we're finding that it's introducing more clicks into the job seeker's preference. So if you've got a great website and you've got your candidates engaged, let's hope that Google for Jobs actually perhaps may not pay that much of a difference to you. So as you expect with Google, they're continuing to innovate. They launched in June 2017, and last month, on the 15th of November, they launched some updates, and we have a quick video that we've created just to take you through that. And I won't say anything through this the video. Certainly, we'll summarize that at the end. Okay, great. Well, if you want to see the video again, check out our website, check out our social channels. We've got a few blogs and articles about Google for Jobs, so stay engaged with that. So, in summary, there's three things here. So, firstly, there's going to be a better location filter. So, a candidate will be able to set the distance and commute times as a filter. Salary information will be available via partners such as Glassdoor. However, if you don't include a salary in your job advert, Google for Jobs will start to make a suggestion what the typical average salary is for that role. But certainly the most innovative change that we've seen is that Google will actually start to deduplicate the advert, so the candidate will be given a choice of where they can apply from. So the thinking is that I already have a relationship with this brand, or I already have a registration or profile created through this job board. I'm most likely to apply through them. So a quick demo of what it looks like. So here we're actually logged into Google for Jobs. I'm searching for a retail role, retail jobs in New York City. So you can see above we've got the paid advertising, but underneath we've got Google for Jobs. So we click in here. I'm interested in this particular role. Google for Jobs will open, and I'm just going to focus on the specific updates here. But there's the job adverts, and if you can see on the apply buttons, we can see that Google, you can actually apply through Glassdoor, Apply Fast Retailing, LinkedIn, and helpwanted.com. And if you scroll down, we can actually see typical pay for this type of role. So Glassdoor is telling us for a retail role in New York, somewhere between 26,500 US to 70 US. So that's quite a big pay scale. Or we've got the hourly rate. and Career Builder also putting back an hourly rate as well. So that's a little bit about the experience. If you wanted to find out how we got there and we're able to demonstrate that to you, just drop me a note after the webinar and I'll send you some instructions how to do that. Okay, so what are the implications for recruitment agencies, you might ask? So Google wants relevant original content. So the same generally applies for Google for Jobs. So the implications for your job adverts will be that Google is looking for the originator of the job. So the most exclusive jobs you have, the better for applications. Secondly, if you advertise jobs on Indeed and job boards, you could lose that application through your website. And thirdly, start to think about being selected about the jobs you advertise and where you're advertising them. So there are also implications for your advertising strategy as well. So the problem is, and always has been, that if you advertise on Total Jobs, Indeed, Read, and your own website, each advert might be taking applications from the other. So that's going to really cannibalize your advertising budget. However, there's really no right or wrong answer. So when Google for Jobs does go live, you really need to have a look at your analytics, Google Analytics, and work out how that's affecting your applications over time and adjust your strategic thinking around that. So other implications, you may have seen that salary and location is probably something you don't advertise on your job adverts in the moment, and Google's going to be looking for that. So, if you don't display locations, Google isn't going to like that. But certainly Warren will take you a little bit through about the more technical implications to the website in the second part of the webinar. And ultimately, your jobs will continue to get more traffic. The upside to Google for Jobs is that your website should be receiving more traffic through the job details pages rather than the home page of your website. However, these pages will still need to be really engaging for the candidate to remain sticky, and so that you can achieve this through certainly personalization with relative jobs and content and strong calls to actions to sign up for job alerts or drop a CV. So there's something that, you really need to start thinking about your website, making sure that that experience of the candidate when they do eventually land on your pages is that it's engaging, they stay there, and you've got strong calls to action. So, and we know from our experience that's the highest converting area of our websites is the consultants page. So wherever you can, look to humanize that application process with a human face, with some relative contents and some relative jobs that they recruit for. Right, so that's the first part of the webinar over. I've done my job. Over to you, Warren, for the technical part.
Morning, everybody, and yeah, thanks again for attending this morning. So as I said at the beginning, my name is Warren Davidson. I head up digital marketing here at Format. So that means I'm responsible for our SEO, paid advertising, social media, content marketing, and to a certain extent, user experience services. So a lot of the stuff that I work with and I'm responsible for, obviously, is heavily impacted by Google for Jobs. So what we're going to do now is just try and give you a bit more of a technical explanation, although a technical explanation for us as marketeers on what you can do and how you can prepare for Google for Jobs, and also how you can actually assess your own website. So before we get into it, let's be honest, there are two clear ways that you can get into Google for Jobs when it arrives. Obviously, on the left-hand side, as Adrian said, Google have already openly admitted that they have partners that are set up for Google for Jobs, so the likes of Monster, Career Builder, LinkedIn, and so on and so forth. So you could plow money into those sites in the hope that your jobs will make it onto Google for Jobs via those Google partners, job boards. And then I think we're seeing now that there are actually even some aggregators in there, although obviously Indeed is not one of them. What we want to talk to you about today is obviously the other option is your optimizing and preparing your own websites. That's what we're going to get into today. So the two key changes that you need to be thinking about or need to be preparing for from a Google for Jobs point of view, two things. So on the left-hand side there is job schema, or job posting schema, and then the other one is a sitemap for jobs. So again, with both of these, particularly for job schema, we're going to actually try and show you Google for Jobs, a testing tool. We're actually going to skip into the web and show you that live as well. So what is schema? So just to take us back a little bit, schema, the schema.org website is kind of a web standards website that was set up by some fairly influential powers in the online space. Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, and Yandex. Obviously, Yandex is a Russian search engine. So these guys have set out how they expect websites to be coded and to be viewable by their various search engines. So you're talking about Google, Yahoo, and Bing here. So that is 99% of the search market. So we have to take the content of this website very seriously. So on the top right hand side there, you can see you've got home, schemas, and documentation. Schemas are essentially guidance for each industry as to how the search engines want to view your websites or your pages. So whether you are selling widgets via Amazon or beds or any sort of online retailer, there is a schema for your product and for your industry. Obviously, for us, we are most interested in the job posting schema. So again, you can go on schema.org yourself, have a look at the job posting schema. But I warn you now, it's a very long page full of different stuff that Google could potentially take from our different jobs. So the challenge is, how do we work out from the job posting schema what Google is going to prioritize and what Google is actually going to use going forward in Google for Jobs? So a great way to figure this out, and a great way to give us some indication as to what schema to use on our websites, is to look at the Google partners. So we can see LinkedIn Monster. So WayApp is a graduate website in the US, and Career Builder obviously have US and UK websites. So we can look at these guys' job listings, see how they're treating the Google schema or the schema.org code, and then apply it to our own websites. So for this one, we're actually going to skip into the web. So this is a good example. So this is a job in Career Builder. So a standard Java developer job there. Great green apply button at the top. So what we'll do is skip into the web again, and if I go into a Java developer job here on Career Builder in the US, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the URL for that job, and I'm going to put it into something called the structured data testing tool. So Google has had this around for a while. So if you just put in structured data testing tool to Google, you'll find this tool. And then essentially all you do is take the URL from your job details page, paste it into this box here, click run test, and then it will tell you the schema that's installed on that particular page of the website. So the important thing to say here while that's loading up is that you don't want to put your home page in there or other pages or your blogs or whatever it might be, other content. You've got to put your actual job details page in there. So you can see here on the right-hand side, we've got organization, job posting, and property schema that's installed on the Career Builder website. So if I click on job posting, that's the one that we're most interested in. So you can see here at the top the detail of the code behind the page. So the stuff on the left-hand side there, just ignore it. For us as marketeers, we're not interested in that. That is for the development team. What we're interested in is the stuff on the right here. So you can see at the top there, you've got what type of schema are we talking about? It's the job posting schema. What's the URL? What's the job title? And then as we scroll down the page, you can see that Google for Jobs is going to be pulling the whole job description, so everything, and the HTML behind that. So again, a lot of websites these days will just pull the first line of the advert or the first paragraph of the advert. You need to make sure that your entire job description is included in the code behind the page. As we scroll down, we've got the usual stuff: date posted, industry, education requirements. But interestingly, the schema pulls qualifications separately. So again, many recruitment agencies will have job description and qualifications in one big chunk on their job details page. So there is an argument that in the future, we need to have qualifications and job descriptions separately provided, either when you add a job via Broadbean or via your CMS, or when you're actually coding the page. So it's quite a change in terms of how we post. But this tool is something that you can use yourself. It's something that you can test your own website on. So if we skip back into our slides, as I said, Google's structured data testing tool, that's the one to use. Put URL in, and then you can obviously see the schema. So we've just been through this live. The next part, again, is vitally important, and we'll describe why in a sec. But many websites already have an XML sitemap for SEO purposes, and if you don't have one, you certainly should. Also, many recruitment websites already include jobs in this XML sitemap. So that's not, that's not necessarily a new thing. The new thing really is how we treat this sitemap. So what Google's asking for is that your sitemaps now ping Google every time there's an update, or every time there's a new job added, basically. And all that means is we are sending a message to Google to let it know that there's been a change to the website, a new job added, and that it needs to update its own search results. Why is Google asking for this? It's probably going to be using it for things like job alerts and location-based searching in the future. So again, it just makes sure that Google has the most up-to-date version of your jobs on its site at any one time. So the technical side of things, as I say, is something that you can do yourself and something you can play around with. But that's all well and good, but it will utterly fail if you don't write good job adverts. And by good job adverts, I don't mean brilliantly or beautifully crafted and copyrighted job adverts. So we're not looking to win a recruitment marketing award for these job adverts. What we're looking to do here is write effective job adverts that will be indexed by Google for jobs, come up in Google searches, and ultimately get us better quality candidates and better levels of applications. So as I said, schema and sitemap for jobs, they'll only work if we can actually get our recruitment consultants to write clean job titles. So we don't want these job titles to contain unnecessary characters or words. So we see this all the time across recruitment agencies and across our clients. So using terms like, or using characters like the asterisk, marketing manager, and then using words like urgently required, exclamation marks, this kind of stuff, candidates don't search for it in Google. It won't come up in searches, and it just means you're a lot harder to find than you would otherwise be. And again, I completely understand that we need to be as creative as we can with our job adverts and our job descriptions. But if you're using job titles like Marketing Guru or Marketing Wizard, rather than writing something more common like Marketing Executive, then you are less likely to be found. So again, we don't want to put down the creativity in our recruitment consultants, but equally we need to make sure that we write job titles that are going to be found within the new Google for Jobs schema. And also don't use abbreviations. Again, very, very common in recruitment. So for example, we use Vice President of Marketing rather than VP of Marketing. Now, quite often you'll get very well used abbreviations in certain industries, but we would still advise that you put the full description in the job title, but then maybe use the abbreviation in the actual job description itself. So you kind of get the best of both worlds there. But again, not good for attracting brand new candidates if you're using abbreviations in your job title. So we're going to talk about job title, location, and salary a lot today, and it's not like they've never been important, but the way that we use them is fundamentally going to change when Google for Jobs comes to the UK. Also, we need to use an accurate location, and also we must not have it in the job title. Obviously, we're going to quite a significant effort to make sure that we are supplying Google with the location. So you don't need to put the location in the job title. Again, it's very common in the recruitment industry to put the location in the job title. But more importantly, we need to have accurate locations, because again, if Google for Jobs is going to provide commute times for candidates, then they expect and they demand accurate locations. And in certain parts of that Google for Jobs schema that I mentioned right at the beginning, they're asking for actual latitude and longitude. Or you could provide Google with that level of detail down to postcode, address, street name, that kind of stuff. Again, the vast majority of clients that we work with provide job titles, job locations down to maybe town level. But again, town and county really is the minimum now. You can't really get away with Southeast anymore. And that's certainly true for Indeed organic traffic as well. We've had a few clients that have broadened their locations to things like Southeast, and then they've seen their applications and their organic traffic from Indeed drop off. So location is really important with the new Google for Jobs schema. And as we mentioned, salary, again, salary is something that many recruitment agencies just don't include. But again, the challenge here is that if you don't include it, then at some point Google will add it for you. So, from a pure marketing point of view, I don't want to allow Google to tell a candidate what salary my client or I might or might not be paying. I'd rather put it in myself. So things like negotiable would just get you less quality applications. Obviously, the more specific you can be, the better. And if you do provide a salary within the Google for Jobs schema, then it will actually remove the suggestions from Glassdoor and LinkedIn on those results pages. So again, it just gives you guys more control over what the candidate sees about your jobs. And again, another classic and a particular bugbear of mine is never put more than one job advert in a job advert. You know, aside from the obvious that it kind of looks like you're fishing for CVs, which we don't want to give that impression to candidates. It's a bad candidate experience. But what I find more frustrating is that it's a missed opportunity for you as an agency. If you've got 2 roles to advertise 2 roles. You know, it may require a little bit more effort, but your jobs are, you know, very much a key part of your SEO power going forward. So the more you can have on your website, the better. The more, you know, it's effectively having the more hooks in the market to get those candidates, the better you have. And finally, and this isn't necessarily a new thing, but write a good opening line, because that'll be displayed in Google. Now, as you will have seen from the Google for Jobs box that we showed you earlier on, generally speaking, you're getting between 3 and 5 jobs appear in those Google for Jobs boxes results. So we're never going to have all our jobs appear in the Google for Jobs box. So you're going to get more of your jobs appear organically below that Google for Jobs widget. So it's still important that first line isn't wasted with "we have a client who is recruiting A." You've got to try and sell the job as soon as you can, because that's the first line that's going to get pulled into Google organic results. So an important point, less so when you're actually getting into Google for Jobs, but you know, we understand that not every single job is going to be displayed in that widget. So you need to just be as search engine friendly as possible. And I suppose just one, you know, kind of the opportunity we have here is quite significant, I think. So as I said earlier, and as we said at the beginning of the show, we have obviously the Google for Jobs schema, which we are recommending and implementing across all our clients at the moment. But there are other types of schema that you can implement to make your website even more Google friendly. So there are location schema, there's organization schema. So this is all about telling Google who you are, where you are, what industry you're operating in, all that kind of stuff, just so that it makes your results even more accurate. And again, those filters that Adrian showed us right at the beginning at the top of the page, the better that your website can match those filters with your own filters, the more likely you are to be ranked high in Google for Jobs. So that's the kind of tweaking that we're going to be able to do when this goes live in 2018. Obviously, optimizing job descriptions and qualifications, again, if those are going to be provided separately to Google, it's effectively 2 boxes when you add them in the CMS, then there are ways and means that we can help to optimize those as well. Optimizing salary and location, we've touched on a couple of times, but one key point actually around location is that when you're implementing job posting schema for your company organization name, it's important that you try and use the same name that you have as in your Google local listing, or at least get them matched up, because what Google's trying to do is effectively match your jobs and your data organization to all the data it currently holds on you. So if you've got the same name for your Google local listings as you have in your schema, makes it easier for Google to match you up and therefore improves your chances of getting ranking. And then optimizing the XML sitemap, something we do for Indeed and for Google already. But again, this is about controlling the data and the information that Indeed and Google hold on your organization, and trying to manipulate it to our benefit. And then finally, optimizing employer reviews as well. There are going to be more and more features that Google for Jobs introduces over the next 6 months. And so it does represent a good opportunity for all of us. So to kind of wrap us up and finish up on the final polls, I think that overall, look, Google for Jobs is going to have a profound impact on recruitment. It's very, very significant indeed. But there is opportunity for everyone if you prepare your website accordingly. As I've kind of said on the job writing kind of guidance there, there isn't a silver bullet for fixing Google for Jobs. It's not something that the marketing team can fix by themselves. You'll need help from your consultants, and you'll need to train your consultants. And then just to tip our hat to some of the sources that we've used today, TechCrunch, SEO Land, and check out those websites for the latest updates. So as we wrap up, we're going to quickly run these polls again to see how you feel about the digital world, having heard what we've got to say today. So quick question number one, how many of you will continue to advertise on Indeed in 2018? So let's launch this poll and see how you feel now. So a bit of a mixed bag there. We've kind of gone from 40-60 to 60-40. So 64% said yes, 36% said no. Okay, let's look at our second one. Do you plan to use less job boards in 2018? Let me just launch this poll. And here we go. Okay, great. Again, about 65% saying yes, you will use less job boards in 2018. So an interesting one, but I suppose less surprising, as I think a lot of agencies are trying to reduce their job board spend. And then finally, do you plan to invest in SEO in 2018? Let's launch this poll, see how we feel about SEO. Okay, well, that's everyone. 100% of you said yes for that, which again isn't surprising, I guess, but good to hear. All right, brilliant. So thank you very much for your time today. Does anyone have any questions? I think we've been trying to keep an eye on the questions box, but if you've got some questions, if you want to fire them into the box now, we'll try and answer them before we wrap up. Okay, so just while we're seeing some of the questions come through, just I suppose a couple of the final takeaways from today's session. So 3 things you can do, you can start doing tomorrow. So as I said, test your website in Google's structured data testing tool. You can all do that straight away and see how you stack up. As I said, I think it's important to run job advert writing courses with consultants, and particularly all new starters as well. So I don't think recruitment consultants will be surprised that they need to write good job ads, but I think this provides some real evidence as to why they need to write them, and that's half the battle. And then of course, reviewing your paid advertising and potentially thinking about investing in SEO in the new year.
Great, thanks, Warren. So we've got time for questions. Got some questions come up, which is great. Let me see. So do you know anything about the timeline for when Google is launching globally? I'm afraid we don't. As Adrian said at the top of the show, there were rumours that Google for Jobs was going to launch in the UK in November, but we haven't seen it yet. Although if you go onto google.com and put your own website into that search engine, then some UK sites are starting to come up in that. But we don't really know, to be honest. But if they know anything about recruitment, it will be before January, obviously. Okay, how difficult is it to add apply through LinkedIn to our website? Will this benefit the rankings based on comments for applications process? Well, it shouldn't be that difficult to apply LinkedIn to your website. Certainly for us, it's part of our product, so it's kind of a pretty straightforward thing. But that'd be something that you need to talk to your own web developers about, and they should be able to get some code. Either have it themselves or get it from LinkedIn. And then will it benefit your rankings? Well, I suppose what we're trying to do here is drive traffic to your own website rather than to LinkedIn. So the apply by LinkedIn is kind of a moot point. So someone's also asked here, how might this affect contract rates, given there is a wider variety? Again, good question. It's hard to say because obviously, as you saw earlier there,
the salary ranges that Google is currently providing in the US are quite broad. I mean, it's good that they're providing salary, but it is quite broad. So how they're going to do contract rates, I'm really not sure. We've only really seen some of the permanent stuff come through recently, because those salary updates only went live in the last few weeks. So it's a fair point, because obviously contract rates can vary wildly. Okay, someone else also said here, do you suggest completely ditching using local job boards rather than the aggregator external job boards? Well, look, as we said, the aggregator is going to be hit most by this is Indeed, which is why they're doing a hell of a lot of outdoor advertising and radio advertising at the moment. Certainly, the way that this is only guesswork, but I would assume that. Ultimately, if there are no aggregators in Google for Jobs at the moment, if Google wanted to introduce an advertising platform at some point down the line, then they're surely going to favor that over job boards and aggregators. But right now, until we see this go live, I wouldn't be removing any job board or Indeed advertising right now. It's something to look at once this goes live, not have a knee-jerk reaction right now.
Great, fantastic. Thanks, Warren. So certainly, if there are any other questions, come up. Come up after the webinar. Don't hesitate to give myself or Warren drop us a line. Here are our contact details. We'd love to hear from you. And yeah, hopefully this was insightful and gives you plenty of food for thought for your strategy for 2018. Certainly, would also like to take the opportunity to wish you a happy Christmas. If you've got your Christmas party like we have today, hope you've got your Christmas jumpers on and the hangovers aren't too bad. For that, we'll sign off. So thanks very much for listening.
Thanks, guys.